We're back online. Okay, we're going to recommence again with item 5.6, Taupō District Council Performance Report. I'll ask the Chief Executive to lead that.
Kia ora koutou, lovely to see you all again. So we're onto the performance report. This covers the period across December and January. Obviously councillors don't meet in that January period, so it covers a bit of a longer time than normal. Two things probably I'm highlighting at the front, which are no surprises to you at all, is that we have been submitting back to government for a number of legislative changes and potential changes coming through. So that's been quite a heavy piece of work on some of our teams at the same time as we're implementing. Local water's done well, so I acknowledge Jeanette and the finance team as well and the work that's going into responding to some of those particular changes that are heading our way. And of course, on the back of conversation we've just had, I acknowledge the community development, engagement and the comms teams around the work that they have been doing to support you on your representative group. It's a normal report. The first section is myself and the exec team in terms of updates across our portfolios, and then I'm going to hand to Jeanette and Panel. Panel did just point out to me that we have a slight change in what's called the ELT business plan at the bottom of the page. It's on 106 of your agenda, and that we've actually achieved, it's good news, we've achieved 14% of those actions, 78% are on track and 8% are off track. And much of those are off track are actually because government has put a lot of pressure on us as an organisation, and we've had to respond in terms of rediverting some work to be able to fit in what's being asked of us. So happy to answer any questions before I hand over to the other two parts of this report.
There be no questions. I guess Jeanette and Panel.
Oh, one quick one. 109, the rate's outstanding. Is that kind of normal?
Yeah, through the Chair, and I think this question has been asked previously. Given the economic environment, we do often see the levels of rates receivables increase. So nothing out of the ordinary from the economic cycle perspective. However, Jeanette and the team have been working really hard to try and focus on particularly some of those larger balances outstanding, and have some plans with a number of ratepayers, specifically some of our multi-land rates customers. So yeah, they've been putting together a plan and working hard to try and collect some of those. But yeah, not unusual given the economic cycle we're in.
Panel or Jeanette. Welcome.
Good afternoon, councillors. Your Worship the Mayor, I appreciate you've had quite a large day and it will continue to be large, so I will keep this quite concatenated and I'll just focus on some of the key changes since December. Lots have happened over the Christmas period. We've seen some real solid progress, and Jeanette will step you through some of that in terms of the overall delivery, but we were at program delivery for the total capital of around 40 million, which is good this side of Christmas. There's 22 significant projects on our report, and the percent complete in general sits at 55%, up from 46 when we last spoke in mid-December. There are 6 key changes, and most of them are good news. The SCADA program decrease has shown a decrease in overall risk from amber to green, now that there's a clear plan and delivery focusing on Lockridge, Lock Eagles and Whakaroa, and those sites are well underway. I just wanted to mention for Councillor Greenslade in particular that the Te Anani car park will roll off this report next month, but there's some lovely photos on page 98 showing the status of several of our projects if you wanted a little bit more of a deep dive. The stormwater discharge consents renewal was green status and now it's amber, as the full ambit of our stakeholder engagement is worked through against budget. I think you'll appreciate it's a fairly comprehensive piece of work, so as we identify and develop a stakeholder engagement plan, we understand the full scope. Turangi Master Plan now showing amber for time, but scope's green now that as that gets firmed up with working group. And Omori Kurito Slip works as lower risk scope. Now we've had the design phase complete and are in the process of confirming additional funding from NZTA. Buffer tanks, time risk is reduced from amber to green as there's been a lot of progress in the last month to get to tender stage. And I just wanted to highlight, because there actually is a small error at the base of the first page regarding Broadlands Road consent program. It's actually not 108% spent. It's actually only 18%. So just wanted to correct that because it's a bit of an alarm bell. I just wanted to also say, look, thanks for your ongoing support to the Capital Delivery Program. We do see you out and about, and I know it was great to have some really good questions from you all at the event centre, just in regards to getting access to project updates. And there are so many, it's quite difficult, but we really appreciate your support and happy to answer any questions that you might have at any point on those projects. Any questions?
Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Peniel. Your reports are always very interesting. Just talking about the water and knowing that we've got a Water Services Committee in place now, are these things going to come off your report and go into another report with Water Services, or do we know how that's going to work at this point?
Through the chair, it would be easy if I just jump in there. Good question, Councillor Greenslade. We are working through what our agenda, monthly agenda will be, and certainly there's going to be a little bit of duplication with reports that go to the committee as well as then full council. But certainly at this moment in time, we'll be sharing the same information.
Thank you. Thanks.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just a general question. Look, given repeated public concern about rising rates affordability, what specific actions are we taking to address costs and expenditure? What are we doing to cut costs?
Through the chair, well, I guess the process that we typically engage through the Project Management Office and overall capital delivery is that we have a firm budget that's been approved through the long-term plan by the Council in the beginning of the triennium, which we work with the asset managers very closely to ensure that at the point at which you're about to deliver a project, you need to reconfirm through a business case exactly what those costs are, bearing in mind that we have been through a period of heightened inflation that I hope continues to drop off. So the process that we've engaged recently in terms of reforecasting with Jeanette's team, ensuring that asset managers are able to go through all of their budget lines, as you can imagine there are thousands, to reconfirm what they expect to spend in the next quarter, the next half. Sometimes that number looks to be a little lower, sometimes it looks to be a little higher, and that's the process by which I understand is leading into the annual plan numbers. So in terms of the direct answer to the question, we are always looking for cost efficiencies at every stage of the process, and I'm 100% certain that all of my team are always identifying those. Thank you.
And probably just to add, of course, we had a session on procurement and the procurement policy. We do monthly reports in terms of adherence to that procurement policy. The reports that I get to sign off of everything require some statement about adherence to the policy. So a range of actions that we follow to make sure that we're getting best value for our ratepayers.
Yeah, I suppose they're just referring to that procurement policy. I was just referring back to when we did talk about that. I was pointing out my perception of the Achilles heel, and that is sometimes is that yes, a lot of it revolves is relying on certainly staff experience and what they don't know what to look for. So yeah, that's part of what I suggest might be the way forward. Is
Councillor Foreman.
Yeah, just a question on when projects close off, go off this, do we see the line with the completed cost? I'm just mindful that the Aonini project line there says it's completed, but there's only 35% of the budget was spent. So just wondering how it comes
Chair.
back.
I'm very happy that you asked that question, because I actually asked the project team myself, and usually projects are closed off and we begin the process of asset capitalisation so that we can turn them into something that ultimately becomes an asset depreciated. In terms of remaining funding, I guess in some occasions those budgets go back and get reallocated, or are a savings. In some cases might be an overspend in another area due to an emergency situation, like we're seeing with the Omori slip, where there's not necessarily the provision within the LTP for that budget to cover it, and so we sit down as a group and identify where that might need to occur. I hope that answers your question.
Checking then, so our next report, will we see a line that says this is now complete and the final percentage on the budget? Yep, cool.
Councillor Murch, I think you were next.
Thanks. Thanks for the project update, guys. I just had a question about the erosion control. I know that this is specific to Taupō District Bay, which is just the front section here of the Moana. What type of influence does council actually have in trying to, I suppose, mitigate or eliminate the erosion risks happening not just within the Taupō District Bay but across the entire district? Because if we head south towards Waitahanui and we look at Mangakota, I know that specific whenua land is under dock management, but it is appalling, the erosion, and actually our hapu, our taiao monitors, have been monitoring the effects of the erosion for the last 6 months, and in the last 6 months it has been the worst that it has ever been. And so I suppose I'm just looking for some information about what council might be able to do to try and I don't know, maybe it's a support mechanism with hapu or iwi to try and address these concerns directly with Mercury. But I just want to know what we can do to help.
I can answer that. So erosion control sits within my portfolio, and we are responsible for implementing solutions to mitigate erosion effects around the lake, in collaboration with our partners WRC and Mercury, who are also at the table. It's under the project known as Project Watershed, and so the challenge, however, is trying to find the appropriate solution through appropriate engagement with our iwi partners and WRC as well. If we enter into emergency situations where we need to implement a solution, then we do have powers under the RMA, which is not an ideal solution, but that is our backstop if we do get to that point.
Thanks, Warwick. Does Mercury know that the solution is to stop holding the water so high within our lake for that period of time? Because obviously they're holding as much water as they can so they can generate the dollar signs to be able to power the rest of the country with power. And so do they know that that's the solution? Maybe it's releasing the water when it's time to, and not waiting for it to erode away the entirety of the cliff so that our townships falls down into the water.
What I can say is that Mercury are aware of some of the concerns around holding so much water in the lake. What they will respond to say is that they are operating within their resource consent conditions, and they also work very closely with WRC or Waikato Regional Council if it does reach a level that they need to release water to mitigate erosion or flooding as well. And so WRC can actually direct them through their resource consent conditions to do that.
Are there any other questions?
Just through the chair. Over here. Siberia. I'm down here. Over here in Siberia. I'm just picking up on Pinnell's discussion with Duncan about sometimes budgets come in under, some are over, and that's where the forecasting comes in, doesn't it? So can I just clarify, how often are we reforecasting?
So we're just in the process through the chair of commencing another reforecast based on February results. So we'll be hopefully bringing to you in March the results of that reforecast.
Yeah, that's great. And just my understanding of that is that what it means is that we can shift budgets to keep the efficiency of a project going, because obviously inflation is cumulative, and the longer it takes to build something, the more it costs. So I really think we've got some good processes and procedures in place around forecasting to just find that extra bit of efficiency where we can.
Councillor Campbell.
Just to throw in there, yeah, I mean, to kind of partly answer my own question, I'm sort of suggesting we build smaller stuff, but that achieve. It's a pretty abstract sort of way of saying it, but we build less. We build smaller stuff that can do nearly or just as much as we're building for now. So it's
a bit like our wonderful
block
roundabouts
sort
at
of
Crown
answer.
Road and on Tauhara Road.
Yeah, they could have been done smaller and cheaper, I think. That happens to be kitty block answer, but yes, let's build less stuff but try and make it smarter and do nearly as much or just as much as what we're building now.
Are there any questions of the team at the front? Can I thank you for, Janetta, you want to carry on with?
I've just got the financial report at the back of the report. I would like to propose that the report's taken as read, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Maybe they're all worn out. We have got a motion there. Council receives the information contained in the performance report for the month of January 2026. Someone like to move that? Councillor Westerman, seconded by Councillor Foreman. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. You got away very lightly today, didn't you? We're now on to item 5.7, council engagements. Appointments and training and conference opportunities. Karen Watts.
Kia ora, councillors and your worship, thank you. There's only one change, which is for the workshop on the 24th of February starts at 10 for 2 hours. Otherwise, everything in the report is as per. 24th of March, apologies, thank you. And yeah, that's all I had. Thank you.
Happy to move.
Could I just add one in? I'll be attending the Dairy Environmental Leaders Forum in Wellington at Parliament on the 24th and 25th of March, and that will be at no cost to the council.
Through the chair, can I just ask a question? I want to know if we're tracking value for money from conference attendance, and question whether councillors should be reporting back, preferably publicly after attending, e.g. LGNZ conferences, especially if they're away from outside our island, are not so cheap to attend, and in the past we've kind of done with a 2 to 5 minute rundown from those who've attended. I'm suggesting that's not really good enough, and it wouldn't be good enough in the private sector, certainly not what I'm used to if my company was forking out money to pay me to go for a conference. Look, I put a notice of motion last term for 250 word summaries be provided for public consumption preferably, and that's each time elected members to go to one of these outside things, which costs money to go to, of a day or so. That was rejected at the time. I just want to know if there's any appetite in these chambers here for some better transparency and accountability this time round. That's a question.
Yep, but the team are no longer there, but so we go to...
It's a question for councillors.
I'm happy to receive updates at our Tuesday morning catch-ups as we do from all of the councillors around the table.
As am I. I hear your point there, Duncan, but I do think that while it is a cost to send the councillors to these things, it's an investment into the councillors who are serving this whole district. So I feel that it is a benefit for us to go to these conferences, and to be fair, in my own personal experience of going to a conference, I went to a conference, I had to miss days of work from my own business, and although council paid for my travel, I missed out on the amount of time that I worked and was not paid for my actual time for being there. So the cost to me doesn't really seem like a massive issue.
Councillor Murch.
Yes, sorry, I had one to add, Karen. On the 6th of March, I'm travelling to Wellington to attend the Te Maruata National Board hui. That's at a cost to LGNZ and not to Taupō District Council.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, if I might suggest, I don't really think it's good enough just for a little update around this table in the back rooms for this sort of stuff, to be honest. I appreciate what you're saying about, yeah, it's obviously a cost taking time out to go to these things, but I have questioned the value, certainly of some LGNZ events going to, and I've sort of put forth that if it can't be put in writing what we gained from that, 200 words, for goodness sakes, a few paragraphs, for posterity and the public to see, then I don't think we should be going to them, to be honest, if that can't be managed.
Councillor Greenslade.
I just want to respond to Councillor Campbell. I think we see it as professional development. I think what each person gets out of these is different to what somebody else might get out of it. And I found for myself in the first triennium, it was extremely useful to go to the LGNZ, connect up with other people and what was happening in other councils. And I'm sorry, but I saw it more as professional development than anything else.
Councillor Leonard.
I think if we're going to go that far, then do we need an attendance record? I do know that there are a number of councillors that put down for travel and mileage, and they arrive late to these things and leave early and go off and have separate meetings, and we're paying them to be there. So careful what we wish for.
Councillor Murch.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we've had this conversation before earlier on in the year, or it might have been last year, and we agreed that any expense that was going to be taken by any councillors on behalf of the Taupō District Council was going to be published on the website in a section. So I feel like we're repeating ourselves here, but also just I see the value in attending events such as Local Government New Zealand, because if Taupo doesn't have a voice there, well, Taupo's out of the loop. And I'd much prefer for the Taupō District to have a voice nationally and then miss out on all of these conversations that are happening across the country without us.
Councillor Cameron.
I was just about to talk about the fact that our expenses are now publicly displayed on our website, so I think that's a really good regulatory feature there too. It'll regulate that. So yeah, on that basis, I'm happy to move.
Okay, we've got a motion on there. The council receives the information relating to the engagements for March 2026. Did you move for that? Seconder, Councillor Greenslade. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried.
Oh, through the chair, can I just ask one more? I have a query.
Please go ahead.
Look, and my apologies in advance before I say it, but I won't take long. And that's a question: are we going to have reinstated a slot in our agenda for councillors to give updates and questions on what's happening in their communities, general issues like the one I was trying to breach etiquette and insert into items at chance, because we just simply don't have that opportunity right now. And it's really up to you, Mr. Mayor, your worship, chairperson, because it is allowed for standing orders, and I've written to you about it, and that's my bit.
Is there any desire to debate that now? We're not in general business at the moment, but I'm mindful that I'd like to give everyone a fair go.
Well, the point, Your Worship, is we don't have a general business slot. That's kind of what I'm trying to get.
The question is, though, is there any desire to debate that now, seeing we've had a pretty heavy day and we're at 3:30, we've still got a bit to get through. Thank you for that. Now we need to move a motion to move into confidential items. Can someone care to move that? Councillor Mertz, seconder Councillor Cameron. All those in favour, please say aye. Don't you know, Gary? Thanks, guys.